Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lizzie and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year check-in book tag. I saw a couple other people do this and I mentioned doing it in my June wrap-up, but I decided why not. So we're just gonna dive right in. I'm gonna start with my favorite books or the best books I've read so far this year. And this was honestly really hard. I chose it not based off of necessarily ratings, but like what books am I still thinking about now? Like what did I read and I'm just still obsessed with the thought of them. So I have a couple. The first I'm gonna start with is Heartbones by Colleen Hoover. I've mentioned this multiple times. This is my favorite Colleen Hoover book. I did read it though over spring break, so I feel like I need to reread it and just like make sure it's my favorite Colleen book. Because I was in such a great headspace that I don't know if maybe I was just, I don't know, but I still love it. I think about it and I get like, so definitely Heartbones. Then I also have Colleen's November 9. This book, guys, I will like go back and reread scenes. Ben is just my heart. Those two books, I probably should have chose one Colleen book, but it's Colleen Hoover, so you can't. And then I have the Imagine Me or the Shatter Me series. I read all 6 books this year and their novellas, and they were fantastic. Could not recommend this series enough. It's so good. Definitely, if you have not read it, highly recommend. And I want to read another book by her. I think she actually just came out with a book either this past year or like last year, and I want to read more stuff by her because I just thoroughly enjoyed this series. The next is what is the best sequel I've read this year, and that has to go to House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas. This book, you guys, first of all, it got me out of a reading slump. It was amazing. So good. Cannot say enough good things about it. I love Sarah J Maas, and this just, if you haven't read it yet and you like fantasy or you like Sarah J Maas or you're like on the edge about reading this series, definitely do it. This was definitely one of my best reads of 2022 and definitely by far the best sequel I've read this year. So then a new release that I have not read yet that I really want to is Glow by Raven Kennedy. Now this is the 4th book in the Plated Prisoner series and it is so good. I remember like last year when I finished reading the other 3, I was like, I cannot wait for the 4th one and I need to get on that. I need to just like buy it off my Kindle already and sit down and read it. I'm so excited. People are saying that it's like the best book in the series so far, which I do feel like her books progressively got better and better. So I cannot wait for that book. And then my biggest surprise of this year has to go to the Bromance Book Club. I have barely seen anything on this book, if anything. I loved I read the back and I loved the idea of it, and I just loved this book. It was so funny. I think that's why I was so surprised, because I'm shocked it's not more popular. But it's definitely good, and I was not expecting to like it as much as I did, but it's great. If you haven't read it and you want like a super lighthearted, funny book, this is definitely the way to go. New favorite author for this year, which was actually really hard because I realized I am very faithful to authors, and if I like a book by them, I will read like all of their books, but then I don't venture out and read other authors. So I actually made it a goal for myself to read a lot of different new authors this year, and my new favorite author has to go to Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have read 3 of her books in this like past like 20-day time span. I read the first book by her last month, and her books, I love her writing, and I haven't read any of her popular ones. I just finished Maybe in Another Life, and I think the next book I want to read is Forever Interrupted, but I feel like I need to read like The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six, and I haven't even read those, and people say they're like fantastic, so I cannot wait to read them, and I'm so glad I started reading her this year. The next is what is your newest book crush? And that has to go to Adrian by King of Battle and Blood. I do not give out book crushes very easily. I feel like for the most part, most guys in books are pretty repetitive, and I feel like that's why a lot of times all my book boyfriends happen to be from fantasy romances instead of just rom-coms, sort of. Definitely Adrian. If you have not read this book, Adrian is just fantastic. He is sarcastic, like the dark, brooding, banter between the two is amazing. Next is books that made me happy. Now, this was actually kind of hard to choose because I read a lot of sad books. I prefer sad romance books. I just think they're better. So I was trying to think like what book didn't make me even a little bit sad while reading it, and I got down to the Bromance Book Club again, and then also The Love Hypothesis. Now, these two books were just like feel good. They were very light and easy. There wasn't any really like heavy content in it. So definitely these two books I would rate as the books that made me most happy this year. So now on to the books that made me cry, and I have two books for this as well. First, I have 1,000 Boy Kisses. I just, throughout this entire book, was just like soft sobs. And then at the end, just waterfall. And then also Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. I was on an airplane when I read that book. It was like 12 o'clock at night. I had the overhead light on and I am just like bawling. I'm sure the people next to me were like, what is this girl doing? I read it on my Kindle. I also read 1,000 Boy Kisses on my Kindle. It was when I had Kindle Unlimited. I don't know if they're still on there. Hopefully they are. But if you guys like sad emotional books like I do, those are the two that made me cry. And I do not cry often. But yeah, 1,000 Boy Kisses just sobs consistently, and then Hopeless was just, yeah, definitely, I love those two books though, but definitely made me emotional. Then for the most beautiful cover, I actually just happened to order this book this morning. There was a sale, so I was like, okay, this is my opportunity, and it is The Priory of the Orange Tree, and I think it's by Samantha Shannon. I will obviously put the cover up. It is beautiful, and I definitely think it's probably the most beautiful cover of a book I've owned or had for this year. It's a fantasy book, so I am very excited, people. It is very highly rated on Goodreads, and honestly just like couldn't get myself to buy it because it was a little bit more of an expensive book, but it is really thick. So when I saw it was on sale, I was like, this is my opportunity. So yeah, the most beautiful cover has to go to that book. Lastly, the books I want to finish by the end of this year. First is the Harry Potter series. Now, I've like watched the movies. I am a big Harry Potter fan, but I have never read the books. And my dad is like, he's like, that's a crime. Like, you need to read the books, especially because you love books. He's like, it's completely different. The world is amazing in the books. So I really want to read that, but I obviously don't want to read it in the summer. I think I'm going to start reading it in September, and then hopefully we'll be able to finish it and read the last book around Halloween. I think that would be really fun and just like great fall vibes, you know? Then the next book that I have that's also I just need to get done is The Song of Achilles. Now, this book has been on my TBR for over a year now, and I just need to read it. I figured out, like, I got a big spoiler. I honestly don't know if it's a spoiler though, because it is Greek mythology, so I'm sure a lot of people knew the ending going into it, but I did not. And so then when I saw that, I was like, darn. But people say it's really sad and the writing is beautiful, so I definitely want to read it, and I need to finish it this year. And then I just figured I would throw in what my current TBR list is. And I have two, and that is Confess by Colleen Hoover. I just picked this up, and also Beach Read. I have never read an Emily Henry book, and I actually think I'm going to do a reading vlog on this because I've never read an Emily Henry book. So yeah, but those are all of my books that I've done for, oh, and if I didn't say it, I have read 60 books so far. I reached my Goodreads goal last month. I made it 50. I try not to push the number because I want to like read to enjoy, not to read. But yes, so that is my half yearly book check-in. I hope you guys do this too. If you do, like, tag your video down below and I'll watch yours. But I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.